Hey, it's Tom from Texas, and it's time for another Floppy Deep Dive. And today we are going to be checking out one of the originals, the best arcade, Donkey Kong. I've got my original version of Donkey Kong, the cartridge that I had since a kid, and this is the manual that came with it. You know, the whole idea was trying to bring the arcade environment home so everyone could play it. So we're going to check out the 8-bit systems today and see how they all ranked and how they fared bringing home the system. Commodore actually did a really good job on it, but we're also going to check out the Atari 800, the Texas Instrument 99, MS-DOS on the IBM, of course the Commodore 64, the BBC Micro, the MSX system, and the ZX Spectrum and Amstrad. So let's check those all out. This is video 1, part 1 of the many faces of Donkey Kong. We're going to do a part 2 after this, which will look at the console systems and the many faces of Donkey Kong. But we're going to compare it all to the original OG, the Donkey Kong and Mario, and see how it compares and if they truly did succeed in bringing the arcade game home. So let's check it out. So this is the original where it all began, the arcade version, and this is what everyone strived in the video game world to try to bring home, that we could play this game. I remember going down to Mack's convenience store here, is the only place in my little town that had Donkey Kong to be able to play it. And once we got an Atari 2600, we could play the Atari 2600 version, and of course then I went to the Commodore 64, and it just kept getting better and better, how they looked, how it was just like, you know, being at the arcade. But was it really as good as these? So let's check out those 8-bit systems and see how they compare to this original right here. So here's all 9 8-bit systems that I have that are comparing back to the original arcade version. Got them each numbered so it's easier for me to go about one by one until you know which one I'm talking about. So we're going to start with number 1. Obviously the original was the arcade, so that's what we're sticking to. But number 1 was the original port by the Atari 8-bit. Then they ported everything over from the Atari 8-bit, like to the Atari Soft did it to the Commodore 64, and there were the Atari Soft games that were out there. Now, so number 1 I'll give away. It is the Atari version. And then moving along, you could see that the Donkey Kong is on the right hand side starting instead of the left hand side like the original arcade. Now number 2, that's moved back over to the left hand side. It looks more like the original arcade game. Number 3, the graphics are not quite as good as the arcade game, and as you can see, it looks like the princess is very small, and but the Donkey Kong's over on the left hand side. Number 4 looks very similar to number 3, except looks like the Mario looks a little different, but the top part with the Donkey Kong and the princess looks the same. Number 5 now is moved back over to the right hand side versus the arcade game. Brighter colors, kind of look pink. Donkey Kong looks rather huge. Number 6 there looks completely different than everything. Mario looks like some little squatty little green pink guy. The princess looks weird. The Donkey Kong looks weird. Just all together weirdness there. Number 7, back over now on the left hand side again. And this one looks a little bit closer, a little bit more typical like the Mario and Donkey Kong and Princess that we're familiar with. Number 8 also looks really good. Everybody on there, it looks like it showed with Donkey Kong and the princess. And then number 9, the last one here, definitely the characters look different. Donkey Kong's back now over on the right hand side again. So all these have their own little unique characteristics. So can you pick out which system that you played? How many of these different 9 systems have you played? And so I'll give you a few minutes to try to figure it out here, and then I'm going to show you the gameplay of these systems, and then after the gameplay of each one of these, I will reveal what system it is. So let's get started. So here's the gameplay of all 9 systems, so you can check it out, and it's a little bit easier to try to identify which one was yours. And as you can see, they all have the same basic formula, with the hammers seem to be all located in the same exact spots as far as I could tell. Oh, take that back. The Atari one up at the top has 2 hammers at the end, where instead of one on one end and one on the other. Let's see if any of the others are like that. Nope, everybody else is different. So only number 1, the Atari, has the hammers located in different positions. Of course, there are numerous differences of all the different systems and the gameplay within it, what they offer and what they do. I just thought it was really, really cool just to see them all going into action. Some of them I could get through quite quickly to get to the different levels. Some of them I couldn't get past the first level. Some of them were extremely hard, I found, compared to other systems. The main one I'm thinking about right now is Atari. If people, all you people with your Atari systems, it was harder for Bruce Lee. Donkey Kong is harder, at least for me. So kudos to y'all who got past it and grew up playing the Atari 800, because that was a difficult system, and I just could not get past that first level, where on most of these systems I could get past the first level quite easily. So I just found it interesting. Even the original arcade, I could get past the first level always, but Atari, they made it a little bit difficult. But I enjoyed playing all these. I thought it was a blast again. To play all the different systems, how they move, how sometimes when you jump on some of them, you seem to have great hang time compared to some just barely jump. All of them have their own little uniqueness to it, but it was just a blast just to, play a lot of Donkey Kong, and that's exactly what I did. I played a lot of Donkey Kong on these different systems, compared to each other, and how close did they come to the arcade, and how close did they make it, like the arcade. I think some of them did a great job, and some of them have a lot of work to do. But overall, like I said, I would enjoy it. If I owned any of these systems and I got to play any of these systems, I would have happy to do it, because then I didn't have to ride my bike and try to find quarters, because I just did not have a lot of quarters to be able to play the arcade games as much as I would like to, or go to the arcade. It was a treat if you ever got to go to the arcade. So having one of these game systems in the house was a blast. Like I said, I had the Atari 2600 started off, and then went to the Commodore. I thought my Commodore was excellent. I enjoyed the Donkey Kong on that. Commodore actually has 2 versions of Donkey Kong, and so on some of them I have included both versions, the Atari Soft that was ported over, and then the Ocean version of the Donkey Kong. So next, what we're going to do is I'll reveal which systems these are, so you know exactly which ones, and then we're going to look at the different characters of Donkey Kong. We're going to look at Donkey Kong, we're going to look at Mario, and we're going to look at the Princess, and we're going to see how they're different on each of those systems. So let's reveal the systems, and then we'll check out those characters. So here is the system reveal now. You can see, like I told you, number 1 was the Atari. Number 2 is the Commodore 64. Number 3 is the ZX Spectrum. Number 4 is MSX. Number 5 is the MS-DOS on the IBM PC. Number 6 is the BBC Micro. That's the first time I ever played anything on the BBC Micro. Number 7 is the Amstrad. Number 8 is the TI-99. First time I ever played anything on there. 9 is the Apple II. So did you pick out the system that you played? Could you identify? How many did you identify? So now we're going to move on and look at the different characters and how they looked on the different systems. So now we're going to look at the many faces of Donkey Kong, and what I did here is I have all the systems and showing the unique look of each of the Donkey Kongs. In the very middle I have the arcade version, so that's the original Donkey Kong where it all started from, and so I thought it was cool to see how each one of these systems represented the OG Donkey Kong. So starting at the top left hand side, we have the Atari, and that Donkey Kong, it just looks sad to me. He doesn't look very mean or menacing or anything like that. He looks like, with his expression on here, it looks very timid, like he's a scared little puppy. Number 2, the Commodore 64. They made him huge. He's probably the biggest Kong that's on here. I thought he looks much, much closer to the original arcade. Number 3, I don't know what they're crying. He's kind of got horns, kind of looks like a, I don't know what he looks like a goblin or something, and a pink one at that on the MS-DOS version. So they really were creative with that one. Also included the other version, the ocean version of Donkey Kong on the Commodore 64. I removed the one that was just completely ridiculous looking, so I try to keep them as closely as possible. So not all 9 systems are representative here. So that's the other Commodore one there. Again, looks completely a little different, more like the arcade. So, and then on the middle far side, the TI-99, he looks pretty mean. He's pretty menacing over there and looks angry. And then over here on the very bottom, on the left-hand side, we've got the BBC Micro system, and that one probably the worst of all of them. Just kind of looks like a monkey. Not the greatest representation for Donkey Kong at all. And then on the Amstrad, we got him kind of looking like the Commodore 64 Ocean version. They look very, very similar. A little bit different, obviously, in color, but looks very similar in that style. And then the last Donkey Kong for the Apple II, that looks like Grandpa Kong from Donkey Kong Country, or, I mean, it does not look like Donkey Kong at all. It looks very old, and just like I said, it looks like Grandpa Kong. So those are the many faces of Donkey Kong in each one of those systems. I thought it was pretty cool to look at. So next we're going to check out Mario. So now here's Mario on all the different systems, starting again at the top left side. That's the Atari version, and that Mario, he looks pretty typical. It's got a pointed nose, but still has the red overalls, the red hat. In the middle again, I've got the original Mario from the arcade, so you can see how they compare between them all. Number 2, at the very top middle, that's the Commodore 64 again, and that Mario, again, that's my version, a little jaded, but I thought that looks really cool and very close to the original Mario. Number 3 is the MS-DOS version, and now Mario has more of a light blue hair with a blue mustache and white boots, and just very unique. And MS-DOS always likes that pink color. I guess that just pops. Then in the middle section on the far left, we got the ZX Spectrum, and Mario's just solid white. We all know that Spectrum had its limitations and so forth, which made their games unique, and so that's what the Mario looked like on there. And then on the far right in the middle, that again is the TI-99, and that Mario he's just red. He's red and blue. He doesn't have any skin tones whatsoever, and so very unique on that one. Then down on the MSX, that Mario actually looks very similar to the Amstrad version, and also up there to the Atari version, even a little bit of the Commodore. It's not bad at all. The weird thing about the MSX is the Mario looked really good, but the Donkey Kong and the Princess at the top looked exactly like the ZX Donkey Kong and Princess. So it's like they took the time to make the Mario better and have color, but they left everything else the same. So I found that interesting. And then going on to my one of my new favorite systems is the Amstrad. I just like how it looks. I think they're very detailed. It seems like a very cool system. And I like the Mario look on this one. I think they did a good job on there. And then last is the Apple II. And this one, I don't know what they were going with here. Apple II just took their own way and went with it. No mustache here. Looks like, again, they have the white boots and the blue hair, and just, it's a shaven Mario. So just found it odd, and it has no face, has no eye, just unique. So that's all the mini faces of Mario. So next we're going to check out the Princess. So last but not least, we're going to look at the Princess. Again, in the very middle, I have the original Princess from the arcade system, and we're going to compare all the princesses to that. So again, at the top left, the Atari, we're going to look at that Princess. Different colored dress, different color hair, nose is bigger, definitely took some changes there, made changes and not following exactly along with the arcade version. Then in the middle top, we've got the Commodore again. They did very similar in the design, different color hair. They went blonde instead of the redhead. And so looks good. Pretty much the design, like I said, the hands and everything looks the same. They just made the changes to a blonde instead of a redhead. Then we get to the MS-DOS, and we're back to that pink and blue looking again. Completely different. Pink hair, just a different princess altogether. The ZX, I believe it's yelling help, looks like a headless princess. Well, I think it's just her neck, and they didn't put any head on top of her. But definitely different. Definitely looks very, very cheesy and not quite the same as the arcade version. And then in the middle again on the far right, this one actually looks really good by the Texas Instrument 99. Really impressed. They looks very similar to the Commodore version, and just very, very nice. And again, not quite exactly like the original, but went with the blonde again on that one, but very close. The dress is close and everything else is close. And then we got the BBC Micro down here in the bottom left, and it is just, I don't know what this is. So it's got the blonde hair and the pink and their little dress, but doesn't look anything like like it should. But very unique. I could say that. And then the Amstrad, we've got the same hair color and same kind of dress, just a little bit different in the face style, but very close to the original arcade, and looks pretty good. And then last, the Apple II, we've got again just different. We got back to a blue dress, and the hair color's the same, but no eyes or anything like that. So that's all the different looks of the princesses. So I hope you enjoyed this part where we kind of just broke it down a little bit more, and we'll continue to do it. If you like it, please put it in the comments if you like this, and I hope you made it this far in the video so far, so you could tell me if you like it one way or another, and I'll continue to be able to do more of these breakdowns so you could see it all on the screen at the same time and which system it's on. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, let me know you like these kind of videos. This is just part one of the Donkey Kong series, Faces of Donkey Kong. Next we're going to look at the console versions and look at the differences on it. So I hope you're excited to look at that. We'll try to have that ready for you next week. And until next time, thank you for joining me on another Floppy Deep Dive.